Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Cathy McGrath, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV could be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. And today's issue of the Neepawa Banner and Press is for Friday, July 19th, 2024. And on the front page, Carberry residents review plans for deadly intersection by Rain Pryor, Local Journalism Initiative. A public forum was held in Carberry on Tuesday, July 16th to showcase some of the potential upgrade options for the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway and Highway Number 5. The intersection was the scene of a tragic auto accident last year that took the lives of 17 people. The province will continue to solicit feedback from area residents online for an unspecified period of time following the open house. The feedback form available at the open house can be found at www.surveymonkey.com/r/PTH1 and PTH5 improvements. Well over 100 area residents attended an open house in Carberry on Tuesday evening held by Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure regarding the future of the intersection at PTH1 and PTH5. The event was hosted by Landmark Planning and Design Inc., who are managing the public engagement, along with WSP Canada Inc., the engineering firm which prepared a safety report on the intersection. That in-service road safety review, released by Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure in January, included recommendations for the 3 safest options to improve the intersection. This open house presented a condensed version of that report for attendees and had several representatives on hand to listen to public feedback on the information presented and on the intersection in general. The intent of today is just to listen, said Dustin Bowie, Executive Director of Highway Engineering Services with Manitoba Transportation. We're here at the first stage of this project, really just to hear what users of the facility have to say, how they interact with the intersection, and any considerations that our design team should take into account when they're developing options for future stage of evaluation. While 3 medium-term options were identified in the report, including a widening of the median, a roundabout, or a restricted crossing U-turn, RCUT. Bowie says that at this point all options are still on the table. The evaluation criteria for those options, he goes on, is more than just safety and includes cost, traffic operations, impacts to adjacent lands, and environmental conditions. While several attendees expressed that they had been expecting more of a public meeting and town hall discussion regarding the intersection, rather than a drop-in type of information session, Bowie says that the preferred mode is open house, just because of the scheduling nature of trying to get everyone in the room at the same time. Following this open house, the next stage of the process is to summarize the comments received and to compile those into a report which Bowie expects will be available in the fall. Those options will be evaluated, and the third stage of the functional design process is the presentation of the preferred option. Bowie expects they will have a preferred option identified towards the end of 2024. The detailed design phase would then be in 2025, with the project likely to begin in the late fall with completion in 2026. And there are some pictures, multiple options considered in overall. And I don't know if you can see it. There's the 3 options, the widening of the intersection. The middle is the restricted turn around, restricted access, and the third is the roundabout. A large number of Carberry residents assembled at the Memorial Hall on Tuesday, July 16th to look at the three options being examined for the intersection of the Trans-Canada Highway and Highway number 5. The intersection is where a June 15th, 2023 collision between a semi and a bus full of seniors from the Dauphin area left 17 dead and 8 others injured. Another crash at the same intersection the following month also injured 3 people. And Free Friday raises around $40,000 for RMHC Manitoba by Casper Warehan, Neepawa Banner, and staff, press. Pictured here are a couple scenes from the Carberry edition of the McCain Foods Free Friday charity event in support of RMHC Manitoba. Left, Free Friday crew members Rob Martin, Mark Morrison, and Mike Elliott. Above, Free Friday crew member Sally Sylvester passes a box of fries to a patron. The potato is one of those versatile foods that can be enjoyed in a number of ways. On July 10th, however, a number of communities in the Neepawa Banner and Press coverage area came together in celebration of one particular, the ever-beloved French fry. The occasion for the day was the annual McCain Foods Free Friday. This drive-through style event provides all who attend with a supply of free McCain foods, fries, and or potato patties. Even more important, however, is McCain's Foods partnership with Ronald McDonald House Charities, RMHC, Manitoba. While product was going out, donations were coming in, supporting RMHC and their mission to support families dealing with childhood illness and or injury. RMHC and RMHC Manitoba help families remain close to the medical care they need, as well as each other. Events held in our area included Brandon, Glenborough, and Carberry, with others taking place in Portage la Prairie and Carman. Carberry was the final stop for the day's proceedings. It felt very appropriate to end in Carberry since one of our teams is here, RCMH Manitoba CEO Wendy Galligan said that day, and of course we have our teams in Portage and Brandon. She added, one of the most inspiring things in addition to the support from the community is the support and generosity from McCain, the volunteers, and our alumni families. It's been a wonderful day, an inspiring day. Bart Witherspoon, Manitoba Field Manager for McCain Foods, provided a similar statement in regards to the enthusiasm shown during an interview on July 15th. It was an amazing day. We had great support from all the communities we went to, said Witherspoon. In terms of just how much support we received for the charity event that day, Witherspoon provided a look at how the final numbers were shaping up. Right now, our total is just shy of $40,000 overall, and we're still tallying up the final numbers. Witherspoon shared, this is all locations together, the 3 rural towns plus Brandon and Portage. With such support exemplified from the aforementioned communities, perhaps those fries and patties will taste all the better. Gratitude was extended to all who helped make this event a success. And Looking Back by Casper Warehan. And the title is 1974, the Neepawa Elks Set Out for the Provincials. 125 years ago, 1899, Goshen, Reverend Alex Dunlop, who bought out William Watson some time ago, has now moved in. He is greatly pleased with the land of Goshen. Bridge Creek, Blackwell brothers are putting up an addition to their house. P. Gosling has made arrangements with Stewart Brothers for a part of their stable and has resumed his livery business there. Mr. Gosling feels deeply indebted to Stewart Brothers for their kindness and trusts his former customers will call at his temporary abode until such a time as a permanent location is secured. Some miscreant removed a plank from the platform over the ditch at D. Coulter's place on the Eden Road one day last week while Mr. Coulter was in town, and it was only by chance that a serious mishap was avoided on returning late in the evening. As the plank had been securely spiked down, it must have been taken considerable effort to remove it, which indicates that it was mischief more than theft that actuated the culprit. 100 years ago, 1924. Glencairn. 2 Negroes passed through our burg on Saturday. They were begging for the blind. We do not know if they were in earnest or just a pair of fakes. They traveled on foot, keeping on the railway. 75 years ago, 1949, about 100 gallons of chlordin have been used in the rural municipality of Lansdowne for grasshopper control. It was reported by councillors Ferguson, Anderson, and Evison at the Rural Council meeting July 5th. 50 years ago, 1974, and pictured is the Neepawa Elks baseball team from 1974. In the July 18th edition of the press for that year, it was announced that they won the B side of the Beaver Ball League tournament, defeating Gimli and Russell. This earned them a spot in the provincial playdowns at Winnipeg. Pictured from left to right are front row Jim Turner, Mark Blahika, Daryl Bradley, George Cochran, back boy, Terry Speece, and Robbie Sykes. Back row, Shorty Turner, manager, John Reed, Brian Kitson, Gerald Parrott, Wayne Ernest, Scott Buchanan, Monty Ferguson, captain, Kevin Forkelson, Brian Holmberg, and Frank Reed, the coach. And continuing from 1974, Alicia Kieta Seaburn's recital July 9th at Knox Presbyterian Church was a truly unique and exciting musical experience for the 100 people who attended. Accompanied on piano by Remy Bouchard of Neepawa, Mrs. Seaborn astounded and transfixed the audience with her power and beauty of her coloratura soprano voice. Mrs. Seaborn is a native of Poland, where she lived, and when she lived there, she was the soprano soloist with the Polish radio and television. As well as holding this position, she was a soloist with the Warsaw Philharmonic Orchestra, and also toured all of Europe and much of North America as a part of several opera companies. Mrs. Seaborn has lived in Canada for 3.5 years and teaches voice in Winnipeg. 20 years ago, 2004, Marc Lebatelier is counting his blessings after surviving a brush with flesh-eating disease. Lebatelier manages Neepawa's KK Penner & Sons Limited tire shop. His ordeal began after he banged one of his knuckles with a hammer on July 2nd. In the space of a few hours, his left hand had swelled to the point where he could no longer even bend his fingers. He also developed flu-like symptoms, including fever and chills. His official diagnosis was the skin infection cellulitis, but doctors in Winnipeg also found tracers of Streptococcus bacteria in his bloodstream. In its most virulent form, the bacteria causes necrotizing fasciitis, also known as flesh-eating disease. Now back to work, Lebatelier is still on a heavy dose of antibiotics in pill form. Lebatelier said he was lucky the bacteria didn't do any serious harm. He returned home 5 pounds lighter with digits intact. My pages are sticking together. There we go. Right in the Center by Ken Waddell. It doesn't make sense. I have been accumulating a number of things in my mind that don't make sense. I am sure you could add many more to the list. A recent report notes that BC produces more wood pellets than any other Canadian province, and production is dominated by a UK-based company, Drax, which owns the world's single largest wood-burning facility. Drax also owns, or partially owns, 8 of BC's 12 pellet mills and is responsible for 80% of the province's exports. Another report noted that Drax gets paid a huge subsidy from the British government to burn these pellets to make steam to make electricity. Why? Because the government has decided that wood pellets are better than coal. Really? Britain produces coal, so how can wood chips make more sense than coal when the trees have to be cut, the wood has to be chipped, and then pelleted? The pellets have to be trucked to a railhead, shipped by rail to a seaport, shipped by sea to England, unloaded, and then put into a huge furnace to make steam so an electrical generator can make electricity. Now please tell me why that makes sense. It's like a lot of other things that don't make sense from a logical or governance view, but it does make sense financially to businesses because of the government subsidies. CBC doesn't make any financial sense either, except that the feds pay them $1.3 billion per year in subsidies. Left to their own resources, CBC would die in a year. Left to its own resources, Drax and the pellet industry would die in a year too. Going back a little in time, why did the federal government shut down the Indian Head Tree Nursery? Why did government shut down the prison farms? For decades, prisoners found reason and purpose in the barns and fields at the prison farms. Not anymore. I guess everyone can be rehabbed in a jail cell. Yeah, that makes sense. 4 walls, no windows, little fresh air, no real work or purpose in life. That should do the trick. When the prison farms were shut down, over 700 inmates were employed on the farms. From a 2018 Free Press story came this quote: "A prisoner advocacy organization is hoping the reopening of 2 federal prison farms in Ontario has sown the seeds for the reblooming of the Stony Mountain Institution." The John Howard Society of Manitoba wants the Rockwood Institution farm, closed by former Public Safety Minister Vic Taves in 2010, to reopen now that the federal government's budget includes the plans for opening 2 such operations at Kingston, Ontario. John Hutton, the Society's executive director, said the production of the prison farms helped reduce the amount of money spent on food in the facilities, while also helping inmates acquire the work ethic they would need once they were out in society again. And back to more recent times, the federal government is investing billions of dollars on EV car battery plants. Never mind that EV cars are more expensive, less reliable, heavier, and therefore harder on the roads, and basically, at least in rural areas, a pain in the ass to use and recharge. I find that very maddening. And while money at both levels of senior government is going into EV cars and battery plants and such, we are told there isn't enough money to put a CT scan into the hospital at Neepawa or an MRI machine into the new hospital at Portage la Prairie. The collection of brain cells that run Manitoba Health have obviously not accounted for the reduction in ambulance transfers that would be made. You know, those white little buses that move patients around the country in times of emergency? Oh no, we have to plug their schedules with inter-hospital transfers. That's so much better than having a CT scan or an MRI closer to the patients. My wife laid in Neepawa Hospital for 3 days waiting for an ambulance for a transfer to get a procedure that can only be done in Winnipeg. That made sense, right? We have a problem in Canada. There are dozens of things that don't make sense as bureaucrats bend over backwards to screw up our lives, our pocketbooks, and in some cases, our very safety. Here's a secret for bureaucrats and politicians. If you would just bloody think for a few minutes in your life, you would do the right thing and you would be lauded for your common sense. Home Buddies by Rita Friesen. Table Talk. It was a delightful dinner out. I was in the company of trusted friends and the conversation ran varied and deep, from laughter to introspection and reflection. One of the topics we covered, well addressed, for the topic is also a deep one, was mental health. I mentioned that years ago, one of the members of my extended family on my father's side, thank you, Linda, had researched a health genealogy of our family. There are a great many family members of every generation that lived with anxiety, depression, or melancholy. I spoke of a great aunt that was bedridden for decades. Great Aunt Anne had held court from a bed in the living room, a delicately crocheted bed jacket around her slender shoulders. She was in her early 50s when she began a pen pal relationship with a fine gentleman from Smithers, British Columbia. The correspondence led to him coming out to Manitoba for a visit. The visit led to Great Aunt Anne, age 50, getting out of bed, getting married, and living a full and contented life. Had she felt left behind by the activities and growing families of her 13 brothers and sisters? It might have been 14 or 15. Anyway, I look at it, it appears that once she had a purpose, she had a reason to live. She always had faith. That is a more extreme example of anxiety, depression, or melancholy that I can remember. But my life is filled with loved ones who live with mental health concerns. Out of this discussion, and I did not hog the table time, came the question, did I miss or overcome such concerns because of my faith? To that I reply, I know and love people with a rock-solid faith in God who find it challenging to face each day. The conversation moved to consider how we of faith find comfort and strength in our relationship with the divine, and would some of the youth who appear to be without an anchor find direction and purpose with an active, practicing faith? We know that my generation grew up with the Lord's Prayer, the national anthem, and God Save the Queen, a daily part of school routine. We know, too, the Lord's Prayer has been defined as the perfect prayer including praise, adoration, confession, petition, and assurance of pardon. It's a prayer that comforts, encourages, directs, and protects. For many of our loved ones, when they no longer know their name, they speak these words with confidence. So we didn't come to any conclusions. And who is responsible for introducing faith to others? Looking around, I know that all 5 of my children attended church regularly. Several still do. Only few of my 8 grandchildren do. And only a couple of my 9 great-grands know what the inside of a church looks like. I know that I have often said that I don't know how someone without faith faces trials and trails and troubles, for my faith is my anchor. After all that, I don't believe that good mental health is dependent or independent of an active faith. For those of us with faith, opening and welcoming divine influence or intervention may be a little easier. Even so, some challenges might not be overcome in our lifetime. And Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. 55 plus one more, part 2. The Fido Dog Food Company, not its real name, was holding its annual conference for its regional managers and salespeople. A frustrated company president stood before them. The company's performance had not been good, and he wanted to know why. In a true pep rally fashion, he began, "Who has the best research department?" In unison, the crowd shouted, "We do." The dialogue continued, "Who uses the best ingredients?" "We do." "Who has the most efficient manufacturing process?" "We do." "Who makes the most well-balanced dog food?" "We do." "Who has the best packaging?" "We do." "And who has the best trained and most motivated sales force?" "We do." After a short pause, the president looked at the crowd and asked, "Then why are we 4th out of 5 dog food companies in total sales?" A timid voice from the back of the room was heard to say, "Because dogs don't like it." How sad. A company with the best of everything that fails in the area that matters most. Their customers don't like what they produce. We may laugh at the punchline of the above story, but it reveals a problem that exists in every facet of our society, from the highest levels of government to ordinary people like you and me. We love to play the blaming game. We believe that every problem we have is someone else's fault. When things don't go our way, we look for someone we can blame for our misfortune, when we should be asking ourselves what we have done to help create the dysfunction we see in our families, communities, and country. At the beginning of time in the Garden of Eden, after Adam and Eve had picked and eaten the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, God met and asked each of them the same question: "What have you done?" He didn't want excuses. He didn't want them shifting the blame to others. He wanted them to take responsibility for what they had done. He asked the same of you, of me, of all people on earth. In these birthday call-ins, I am sharing some of the concerns I have for this country and its future. What I am addressing today is my biggest concern. I believe this country desperately needs a revival of accountability in government, in community leadership, and in our personal lives. We need to be people who will not be afraid to step up and say, "I'm sorry, I made mistakes. I didn't listen to the people I was supposed to serve. I didn't listen to those who warned me of the damage of my actions would inflict on others. I apologize, and I will do my best to regain the trust that I have lost." I realize that the general public may not be all that forgiving. They may call on us to leave what positions of leadership we hold. That is their right, and it must be respected. But if, after taking responsibility for errors made, we have to step into the background for a while, we can leave with heads held high, knowing that we own the most valuable asset anyone can possess, a conscious void of offense between God and people. In our future, when people in our communities are looking for quality leaders, they will know where to find people who have learned from their mistakes and who will listen to them and work with them to make their communities better places for all who live there. And thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you to everyone who came out to the Margaret Lawrence home yard to make music on the porch this June, and for your generosity, which resulted in a donation to the Little Valley Jamboree of $836. A big thumbs up from Kim and Blair Chapman of Neepawa. And a big thumbs up and a thank you for the efforts made to improve PR 352, Ridge Road, from the Yellowhead to 72 North. It is much appreciated. By Dietrich Taves of Edrons. And thumbs up to Minnedosa 15U Provincial Tier 3 Baseball Organizing Committee and all people involved. It was a fantastic weekend. Roger Sheldon from St. Rose. And multi-thumbs down to all the bicycles and scooters using the sidewalks as a roadway. Pedestrians are stepping aside to make room for them. There is a bylaw regarding bicycles on the sidewalks. From Ann Nielsen of Neepawa. And be a part of it, not a part. An article in remembrance of the late Reverend Alvin Beauchard. Left, the late Reverend Alvin Beauchard. Right, Jean and Reverend Alvin Beauchard at the Flat Implements Driving Contest in 1990. By the Banner staff. The Banner and Press was saddened to hear of the loss of another longtime resident with the recent passing of Reverend Alvin Beauchard. Reverend Alvin can be described in many ways. Husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather being a few among them. He was also a dedicated and well-entrenched member of the community in Neepawa and area. Reverend Alvin and wife Jean, Neepawa, moved from Ontario to Neepawa on January 26, 1984. Here he served at the Christ Lutheran of Neepawa and St. Paul's of McCreary for many years. Prior to serving congregations in the Neepawa Banner and Press coverage area, Reverend Alvin also served congregations in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and Ontario. In total, his dedicated service to the ministry would span from 1959 to 1999, as he would retire from service after 15 years in Neepawa. After his retirement, he also served as assistant pastor at the Zion Lutheran Church in Plumas for a time before fully retiring. Reverend Alvin's dedication was honored with a special service on August 4th, 2019, for the occasion of his 60th anniversary of service to the pastoral ministry. This honor included the presentation of a certificate of grateful recognition. Reverend Alvin is also noted for having been the pastor for the Neepawa Youth Justice Board. In addition to his role of service within the ministries, Reverend Alvin was also involved in the community and area in other capacities. A couple of those include being a bowling scorekeeper for the mentally handicapped and a long-serving member of the NACTV board. Reverend Alvin was a board member for the local television station for a grand total of 33 years before stepping down in 2017. These years of service in those communities and groups are a testament to the adage by which he lived. According to Jean, Reverend Beauchard always said, when you live in a community, you should be a part of it, not a part. In addition to highlighting some of the ways in which Reverend Alvin was a dedicated member of the community, the Neepawa Banner and Press also wishes to share a fondly remembered story. This story was first shared on June 18, 1990, and then once more in reminiscence on April 17, 2020. This particular memory is that of Reverend Alvin and Jean participating in a contest together. The contest in question was held by Flat Implements and required a pair of individuals to cooperate in operating a tractor. The challenge: the driver was blindfolded. Jean was in the driver's seat with Reverend Alvin standing behind her, acting as her guide. With hard work and collaboration through trials and tribulations, the duo came out to the other side as the team with the fewest faults and a score of 334, earning them the top prize. Reverend Alvin Beauchard is sure to be missed by many. The Neepawa Banner and Press extends its sincerest condolences to the friends and family and hopes that all will join in his remembrance. And the Manitoba Ag Museum to host 68th Annual Threshermen's Reunion and Stampede. And pictured are one of the many scenes and sources of entertainment that could be found at the 2023 edition of the Threshermen's Reunion and Stampede, a part of the history of agriculture in motion. And I don't know if you can see it, it's a steam tractor. and this was submitted by the Manitoba Ag Museum. Canada's largest farm heritage festival returns for its 68th year, running Thursday, July 25th to Sunday, July 28th, 2024. This year's special activities include the world-renowned RCMP musical ride, a ride and roll vintage power sports exhibit, and enhanced Heritage Village demonstrations through the History Alive initiative. Thursday, July 25th at 7 p.m., it is our extreme honor to have the RCMP musical ride performing for everyone. Don't miss it. This precision horse troupe of 16 riders, who are all RCMP police officers, will perform intricate formations and drills set to music, lasting about 30 minutes. The utmost control, timing, and coordination. It is poetry in motion. The 2024 festival also includes the History Alive initiative, a fantastic lineup of live demonstrations of the 26-building Heritage Village. From blacksmithing to wool spinning, artisans will be showcasing the trade skills and tools necessary for farm families and rural communities to produce the crops and livestock needed to help feed the world. Period actors bring historical people to life, and vintage kids' crafts and activities will be throughout the village. Be sure to also taste the clay oven-baked cinnamon buns and take a horse-drawn wagon ride. This year's lineup of events and displays are amazing. Make sure that you don't miss it. Take a drive out to Austin and enjoy a real Manitoba road trip to see the best the Manitoba ag community has to offer, says Angie Klim, president of the Manitoba Agricultural Museum. Over 11,000 annual visitors attend this event each year, with over 100 acres of experiences and exhibits to enjoy. There is something for everyone in the family. Come and see the vintage snowmobiles, all-terrain vehicles, motorcycles. The Ride and Roll Vintage Power Sports exhibit features the unique off-road vehicles Manitoba farmers and residents have relied on for decades to farm and or enjoy the outdoors. The event includes a Manitoba Motorcycle Club sanctioned ride event to the festival on Saturday. For additional information, please visit https://mbagmuseum.ca/reunion-stampede/ Excuse me. And one last chance to say goodbye to the homestead. The Campbell family returned to Dormstrom Manor for family reunion by Owen Devereaux. And pictured at the top, members of the Campbell family, a portion of the Dormstrom Manor, their longtime family homestead, can be seen behind them. And below, the Dormstrom Manor brought English lifestyle to Rosedale municipality. Dormstrom Manor, in the arm of Rosedale, has been the home for the Campbell family for generations. Because of that deeply ingrained connection, it's quite understandable to see several of those generations return to Rosedale last weekend to give their childhood home a final farewell. The stately house, which was first owned by the Campbell clan was first built back in 1895, has been owned by the Campbell clan since 1911. Hugh Campbell bought the building, barn, and adjoining land that year from the Paul Aiken Homer for $15,000. It was Homer who had lived there from 1895 to 1910 and had named it Dormstrom Manor in honor of the style of manor houses seen back in England. After 113 years in the family, the Campbells chose to sell the buildings and acreage due to circumstances beyond their control. The reason had to do with the ongoing erosion of a nearby riverbank, which has impacted the building's structural integrity. Due to that, as well as many families now living in other parts of Canada, the decision was made to sell. It was also decided, however, amongst the Campbell family, that one last reunion needed to be held before the building was no more. The gathering was held over the weekend and saw many Campbells return from across the country. One of those individuals was George Connell, a cousin of the Campbell clan, who now calls Calgary home. George said the weekend was a bittersweet reminder of simpler times. We wanted to go out and take a final tour of the place. A farewell, I suppose you could call it, because a lot of members of the Campbell family, we played in that house growing up. All the cousins have memories of that, stated Connell. It will be a kind of bittersweet thing, but it means a lot to our family. It's always been a part of our family. Connell said when everyone was finally together, it was not a sad occasion, but an uplifting celebration of family. He added that the type of bond will not change, even though the location of the next reunion will. And the monthly RCMP report by Sergeant David Taggart from the Neepawa RCMP. In the month of June, we had 390 occurrences. The occurrences we investigated included assaults, break-and-enters, drugs, thefts, vandalism, frauds, disturbances, and other provincial statutes. There was a lot of traffic related to occurrences this month. We stopped 3 drivers who received roadside suspensions for drinking and driving. We attended a fatal motor vehicle collision south of Gladstone with fire and paramedics. A 21-year-old male was pronounced deceased at the scene. The investigation is still ongoing. We investigated a theft of a gay pride flag. A 30-year-old male was arrested and charged in the theft of the flag. Speeder of the month. In the month of June, we stopped a 37-year-old male from England traveling at 160 kilometers in a 100 zone. The driver was found to be impaired by alcohol and also charged with impaired driving. Anti-fraud tip. Inheritance scam. A scammer contacts you asking for help to transfer a large sum of money from one country to another. The requests often appear to come from a lawyer or legal entity. These requests can include fake inheritance letters, fake business proposals, and requests to help with an illegal activity like smuggling gold out of a foreign country. They advise you that you need to pay 1 or more fees before the money can be released. However, the money doesn't exist and you never receive anything. And here's some more results from the Neepawa and Area 4-H Beef Club achievement results. There's a whole page. I'm not going to read all the names. I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to handle it, but pictured. These photos are from the 2024 edition of the Neepawa and Area 4-H Beef Club's achievement event. Many 4-H members participate in this event each year, working hard and putting their best foot forward as they showcase their skills. The individuals pictured here were a few of those who received top honors in their categories for the cattle they showed. Top left, Avery Jury received recognition for Reserve Champion Female. Top middle, Madison Robertson took home recognition for Supreme Female. Top right, Reserve Champion Steer went to Quinn Sawchuk. And left, Champion Steer recognition was brought home by Sviena Bjarnson. And Neepawa organizations host first Philippine Consular Outreach event by Casper Waran. A dual citizenship ceremony that was held as part of the Philippine Consular Outreach event hosted by NAISS and PhilCan of Neepawa. A first-time event held by Neepawa and Area Settlement Services, NAISS and PhilCan of Neepawa, was well received recently. The occasion was that of the first Philippine Consular Outreach event held on July 6 at the Neepawa United Anglican Church. In addition to the outreach consular, there was a meet and greet at Arts Forward on July 5th with Toronto Honorary Council Rodney Sumang and Winnipeg Honorary Council Ronaldo Opina and delegates, as well as a Filipino community meeting at St. Dominic's Church on July 6th. According to a statement posted publicly by NAISS, a total of 230 clients made use of the services provided on the day of the events. These included Philippine passport renewal, notarial services, oath-taking, special power of attorney, dual citizenship, and more. In our organization, we always provide assistance to our clients, and one of those is Philippine passport renewal. As we are all aware, everyone is working on different shifts. They cannot file their leave of absence immediately. Hence, it is a challenge for them traveling to Winnipeg, too, said Lorena Santos, NAISS settlement worker. As a representative from the Neepawa and Area Immigrant Settlement Services, Inc., I am in constant communication from the Office of the Philippine Honorary Council in Winnipeg, Honorary Council Ronaldo Opina, whenever they have a scheduled Philippine Consular Outreach in Winnipeg. Santos added, due to the massive number of clients who are needing the Philippine Consular Outreach services, it came across my mind to invite the consular delegates here in Neepawa. I've been working on this since 2019, but with no luck. Not until last year I mentioned it to our MP, Honourable Dan Mazur, my intention to invite the Philippine Consular General in Toronto and delegates. Santos explained further that Mazur is the vice chair of the Canada-Philippines Parliamentary Friendship Group, and that he had visited with the Philippine Consular General to discuss a number of issues with consulate officials and Consul General Angelica Escalona. He also noted the presence of a large number of Filipinos in Manitoba and requested the consulate's assistance in bringing consular services closer to us, said Santos. On behalf of the Filipino community, we would like to extend our gratitude and thank you to our Honourable MP, Dan Mazur. This consular outreach is a great success. Santos added, we are elated due to the fact that we are able to reach out to nearby communities too, Ononol, Hamiota, Brandon, Russell, Plumas, Carmen, etc. With such a positive response, Santos told the Banner and Press that NAISS looks forward to hosting another similar event in the future. After the Philippine Consular Outreach Services, we mentioned to the Honorary Council of Toronto, Rodney Sameng, and Honorary Council of Winnipeg, Ronaldo Opina, that we are planning to invite them for the PCO next year, said Santos, maybe on or before the Filipino Heritage Celebration. And the Rolling Barrage is returning to Neepawa in August by the Banner staff. A coast-to-coast motorcycle ride and fundraiser will once again roar its way down the streets of Neepawa. The Rolling Barrage is an annual event looking to raise awareness and break the stigma surrounding the post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, in veterans and first responders. The barrage sees a group of riders that participate in making stops in communities all across Canada over the course of nearly 3 weeks. For the fourth straight year, Neepawa will be one of those stops on Friday, August 9th. The caravan of riders will stay in Neepawa for the night before departing in the morning on Saturday, August 10th. For more information or to register for a leg of the ride, visit the Rolling Barrage's Facebook page or website at therollingbarrage.com. And the history of the Roxy Theatre is chronicled by Owen Devereux. The Roxy Theatre in Neepawa, as it appears today, Rick Sparling's latest book chronicles its history. Every community has that one place, that one space which fills each and every local with fond memories of nostalgia. For Neepawa, it could be argued that the Roxy Theatre is that place. A single-screen movie theatre and playhouse on one of the town's main streets is a location that's been a fixture for many early childhood and adolescence recollections. The scene of countless movies, numerous plays and concerts, and even the occasional awkward first date. As the years progress, it's important that gathering places such as the Roxy are not forgotten. A new book by Rick Sparling does its part in ensuring the remarkable history of this Neepawa landmark is more than just a fading memory. The new book, titled Roxy, looks back at the building and some of its amazing history in connection to Neepawa. This is author Rick Sparling's latest book, chronicling a portion of the community's legacy. Sparling tells the Banner and Press that, while research into the book started for him in the summer of 2023, it's a subject he's wanted to tackle for many years previous to that. He said it was a faithful visit back home in 2018 that cemented in his mind that the Roxy Theatre was worthy of its own publication. My friends and I drove out to Neepawa to tour the town about 6 or 7 years ago, and part of it was a guided tour of the Roxy by Gail and Tubby Cathcart, said Sparling. When we walked in, the aroma was almost intoxicating, and a couple of us commented on it. Sweet memories. Returning to the balcony was wonderful, even though for most of our early years we were relegated to the first 3 or 4 rows and left with kinks in our neck. There's many memories like that, and many of them are in the book. A permanent documentation. Last year, Sparling reached out to the volunteer board of the Roxy Theatre regarding the book concept. Board member Kate Jackman Atkinson, speaking on behalf of the Roxy, said they were very excited about the idea and offered to help as best they could with Rick's research. A few current and former board members shared personal information with him for the book, as well as some information from our archives, including some suggestions of people who should be interviewed. Rick put in a huge amount of work putting the book together, and we were happy to be able to support as needed, said Jackman Atkinson. The Roxy has been an integral part of Neepawa's history and is beloved by current and former residents. We are so happy to be able to permanently document some of this history for future generations to enjoy. Sparling noted that there have been a lot of people over the years that contributed a lot of time and effort to keeping the theatre going. He added this book celebrates their dedication as well as the legacy of the Roxy. With the book now completed and ready soon for distribution, Sparling stated that he can now look back on all his effort with his own sense of nostalgia, as the research stirred a few memories of his own. From when I started going to movies, which made the research that much more interesting for me, said Sparling, my love of the topics I write about is my motivation, and my hometown of Neepawa provides those topics. I want to see the Roxy continue to provide an entertainment venue, and I hope this book helps that goal. The cost of the book is $25, and all sales will go to support the continued operation of the Roxy. Pre-orders conclude on July 31st, with the physical version of it set to arrive in Neepawa in August. Copies will be mailed out to purchasers outside of Neepawa, while those located in the community can pick it up at the Neepawa Banner and Press office. Over $1,000 recently donated to Westman Mental Wellness. And pictured, Dave Williams, co-founder of Westman Mental Wellness and Suicide Prevention Association on the left, accepts $1,025 donation from Jeff Descender, the founder of the Westman Sobriety and Wellness Initiative. Jeff and his team raised this money at their second annual All Ages Sober Social, which was held on June 7th in Neepawa. Jeff is a passionate supporter of mental health initiatives. Westman Sobriety and Wellness Initiative supports advocates and hosts informative events for mental health, trauma, and addictions. And sports. Neepawa 13U, 15U participate in baseball provincials by Owen Devereaux. And pictured, Neepawa's 15U baseball club earned itself the silver medal at the Baseball Manitoba Provincial Championships last weekend in Stonewall. A pair of Neepawa minor ball clubs took part in the Baseball Manitoba Provincials last weekend, with one returning home with a silver medal. Neepawa's 15U squad traveled to Stonewall and Warren to play in the Tier 2 Provincial Championship. In the round-robin portion of the event, Neepawa faced teams from Brandon, Winkler, Portage, and Killarney Boissevain. In their first two games played on Friday, July 12th, Neepawa had mixed results. The opening contest saw them lose to Winkler 11-10, but they bounced back to defeat Killarney Boissevain in their next game by a score of 12-3. On Saturday, July 13th, Neepawa bested a pair of city clubs in impressive fashion. First, they conquered Portage, winning 12-1, and that would follow up by blanking Brandon 12-0. That gave Neepawa a 3-1 record for the tournament and propelled them into the playoffs as Pool B's top seed. In the championship bracket, Neepawa earned its spot in the final with a 9-5 win over Landmark. For that final game, however, Neepawa's 15U club just could not better the team from Rock Lake and would ultimately fall by the score of 5-2. The team did, however, finish the weekend with a silver medal and should be very proud of the effort they put out there versus some very impressive opposition. Neepawa 13U. Meanwhile, Neepawa 13U were in Carberry over the weekend to take part in the Tier 3 Provincials. In their first game of the round robin, Neepawa beat Carman 10-8. They followed that up on Friday, July 12th, with a 19-9 loss to Deloraine. On Saturday, July 13th, Neepawa played twice. The first was a 16-9 loss to Portage, followed by a 21-11 defeat to a team from Brandon. With a 1-3 record, Neepawa was shifted into a consolation game on Sunday, July 14th, against Tri-Community. The 13U club would at least end the weekend on a positive note, as Neepawa won its final game 15-1. As for the host club from Carberry, they finished first in Pool A with a 4-0 record, but were bested in the semi-final by Brandon 3-2. A team from Manitou won the event with a 9-8 victory over that same Brandon squad. Congratulations to both Neepawa clubs on a tremendous effort and a spectacular season overall. And Cubs finish SCBL regular season strong. Neepawa secure first round bye with 5-game unbeaten streak by Owen Devereaux. Neepawa Cubs are cruising into the Santa Clara Baseball League's postseason on an impressive 5-game undefeated stretch. The Cubs closed out their regular season schedule with a dominant 12-3 victory over the Minnedosa Mavericks on Wednesday, July 10th. Neepawa scored all 12 of their runs within the first 4 innings of play, which included 6 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Braden Coleman was 1 for 3 at bat for the Cubs, though his lone hit fell just barely short of being a grand slam homer. Although it only turned into an impressive-looking double, it still drove in a pair of runs for Neepawa. Other standouts for Neepawa on the night included Cody Pazwisti, 1 for 1, with 3 plate appearances and a 2 RBI, and pitcher Jordan Wickens, who were in the win with on the mound, collecting 4 strikeouts. For Minnedosa, Owen Kingdon, 2 for 2 with 1 RBI, and Austin Taylor, 2 for 4 and 1 RBI, stood out for the Mavs. With the win, Neepawa locked down second place overall in the Santa Clara Baseball League regular season standings. The Cubs, along with the first-place Portage Padres, earned themselves a first-round bye in the playoffs. The postseason will open with the Plumas Pirates playing the Austin A's and the Carberry Royals versus the Minnedosa Mavericks. And Plumas Pirates defeat the Portage Padres by Owen Devereaux. Of all the major sports, it could be argued that baseball is the one most clearly and closely tied with mathematics. If that is the case, it's fair to say the numbers simply didn't add up for the Plumas Pirates. On Thursday, July 11th, Plumas defeated the Portage Padres 11-2 in both clubs' final game of the Santa Clara Baseball League regular season. The victory moved Plumas' overall record of 10-5-0, while Portage dropped to 10-4-1. Despite having one more win than the Neepawa Cubs, 10-5-0 versus 9-4-2, and equal winning percentages, .667 on the season, the Cubs were able to claim second place overall and a first-round bye in the playoffs. The reason Neepawa gets to rest while Plumas will be back at it in the first round comes down to the head-to-head matchups, as the Cubs won the season series 2-1. Next up will be the postseason. The Portage Padres and the Neepawa Cubs will each get first-round byes. As for the action on the field, it breaks down as follows. Number 3 seed Plumas versus number 6 Austin A's. Game 1, Thursday, July 18th in Plumas. Game 2, Wednesday, July 24th in Austin. Game 3, Thursday, July 25th in Plumas, if necessary. All games scheduled for a 7 p.m. start. Number 4 Minnedosa versus number 5 Carberry. Game 1, Wednesday, July 17th in Minnedosa. Game 2, Wednesday, July 24th in Carberry. Game 3, Friday, July 26th in Minnedosa, if necessary. All games scheduled for a 7 p.m. start. And Delaloi earns top 10 finish at Manitoba Junior Golf Championship by Owen Devereaux. Hayden Delaloy's last year of eligibility in the Manitoba Junior Boys Golf Championship has seen him walk off the course with his best placing ever. The 18-year-old shot a combined total of 227 plus 11 over the course of the 3-day event, which was held at the Neepawa Country Club in Winnipeg. Delaloy, who competes out of the Neepawa Golf and Country Club, shot rounds of 25 on the first and second days of the tournament before closing out with a 77. That combined total is 5 shots better than his previous best outing last year in Toulon. The 3-round total of 227 was also good enough for a top 8 finish with his age group and 9th overall for the entire event, which featured 65 competitors from across the province. The overall championship was won by the Zostrianos Gross of Shiloh Country Club, who shot a 3-day total of 218. 69, 71, and 78. Minnedosa hosts Baseball Manitoba 15U Tier 3 Provincial Championship. And the 15U Minnedosa Bisons were the host club for the 2024 Baseball Manitoba Tier 3 Provincials by Owen Devereaux. 10 teams from across the province converged on Minnedosa last weekend for the 2024 Baseball Manitoba 15U Tier 3 Championship. The host club, the 15U Minnedosa Bisons, played out of Pool A with Niverville, Glenborough, Altona, and Notre Dame. Pool B, meanwhile, consisted of teams from Rivers, Winkler, Brandon, St. Rose, and Deloraine-Hartney. In the round-robin portion of the weekend, Minnedosa started things off on Friday, July 12th, by beating Altona 16-6. The Bisons' late-day game was against Notre Dame and turned into a real slugfest. At the conclusion of the play, it was Notre Dame who were able to hold on to a 15-13 victory. For Saturday, July 13th, Minnedosa once again split its pair of games. First, they beat Niverville by a 14-12 score, but then fell to Glenborough 6-5. The 2-2 weekend for the Bisons kept the host team out of the championship. Minnedosa still ended the event on a positive note with a 14-5 win over Brandon on Sunday. As for the championship game, it was actually one of the teams the Bisons had already beaten who ended up winning the whole weekend. The Niverville Wildcats defeated Rivers in the final 6-4 to claim the gold. Congratulations to Niverville on the win and Minnedosa for putting together an exceptional weekend for all the players, coaches, and families. And the Neepawa Dolphins opened their season in Manitou, submitted by the Neepawa Dolphin Swim Club. The Neepawa Dolphins opened the summer swim competition in Manitou on Sunday, July 14th. It was a beautiful morning at Manitou, and the local club fared quite well against the likes of Winkler, Hamiota, Beausejour, Swan Valley, Treeherne, Pilot Mound, and host Manitou. The final results from Manitou. 8 and under girls, Charlize McSimic, first place, 25-meter back and breaststroke. 9 and 10 girls, Nora Grace Reed, first 25 free, 50-meter fly, 100-meter free, second 100-meter breast, and third 50-meter breast. Riley Wilson, first 50-meter back, 100-meter back, 100-meter IM, and 50-meter free, third 100-meter breast. Julia Pollock, second 100-meter free and 25-meter back, fourth 50-meter back, 50-meter free, and 25-meter free. Novalie Menzies, 7th 50-meter breast, 10th 50-meter free, and 25-meter free. 11 and 12 girls, Rosie Froark, 3rd 25-meter back, 4th 50-meter back, 6th 25-meter free, 8th 50-meter free. Madeline Wachowski, 2nd 50-meter breast, 8th 25-meter back, 9th 25-meter free, 11th 50-meter back. 13-14 girls, Anne Crossan, 1st 50 back, 50-meter free, 50-meter breast, 2nd 100-meter IM, and 50-meter fly. 15 to 17 girls, Cami Smith, 1st 50-meter free, 50-meter breast, 2nd 100-meter breast, 100-meter IM, 100-meter free. Aliyah Jacobson, 1st 25-meter free, 2nd 25-meter back, 3rd 50-meter back, and 100-meter fly. Claire-Anne Howe, 1st 25-meter breast, 2nd 25-meter fly, 3rd 25-meter free, 4th 50-meter breast. 9-10 boys, Joey Smith, 2nd 25-meter fly, 3rd 50-meter back, and 50-meter free, 4th 100-meter breast. 13-14 boys, J.C. Smith, 1st 25-meter fly and 100-meter IM, 2nd 100-meter breast, 3rd 50 breast, and 4th 50 free. Once again, the Dolphins had standout performances from Elisa Ashley and Austin Nadeau. Any race they compete forces the field to swim harder to keep up. Unfortunately, or fortunately, they participate in the winter swim program with Brandon, which means they are not able to officially capture a standing in the competition. For more results and information, go to https://www.swimmanitoba.mb.ca/summer-swim. This coming Sunday, the Neepawa Dolphins have an opportunity to compete at the Pan Am Pool in Winnipeg. Start time is around 11 a.m. And if anyone is interested, there is still time to join up for the season. Just put on your swimsuit and head on down to the swimming pool. Check for times and days of practice. The cost is decent. And Carberry on Team Toba. Pictured are Letty Allen, Tori Elliott, Isabel McCutcheon, and Kinley Pierce by Jolene Belkunas, Local Journalism Initiative. Lacrosse has become a popular sport for our local youth. After an exciting season playing mixed lacrosse, these girls have enjoyed playing on an all-female team this summer on Team Toba. 4 Carberry girls tried out and were successful, securing spots on the provincial under-13 lacrosse team. Letty Allen, Tori Elliott, Isabel McCutcheon, and Kinley Pierce have been practicing in Winnipeg 3 times a week, preparing for the Prairie Cup in Regina this coming weekend. Jody Allen, one of the parents, says the girls are enjoying being on Team Toba, and the parents all share the driving. The girls' excitement to play on this team is contagious, along with their passion for the game of lacrosse. They all expressed how much they enjoy and feel the need for the aggressive side of the sport to help them release the stresses of life. Team Toba has helped the girls develop their skills and learn more about the game. They look forward to returning to their home team and sharing what they have learned. These girls proudly represent Carberry on Team Toba, and we are cheering them as they travel to Regina. And pictured below is Team Toba. Parrott receives $2,000 Rotary Scholarship. Jillian Parrott was the recipient of the $2,000 Rotary Scholarship Award recently. Pictured here is Parrott receiving the award from Wayne Jacobson, the president of the Neepawa Rotary Club. And communities experience monster hail. A number of communities received tornado, severe thunderstorm, and large hail warnings this past Saturday. While some communities ended up being in the clear, others saw the results of the large hail, such as the Furdale-Edrins area. Pictured above and bottom right are some examples of the hail. The photo at the top right shows a field of corn which was severely damaged by the hail. And a perfect day to kayak. Neepawa Area Immigrant Settlement Services and its settlement workers and school program hosted kayaking sessions for youth of varying ages on July 17th and 18th. Volunteers Muriel Gamey and Donna Huck guided the lessons. Seen here are some scenes from the July 17th sessions. Weather was favorable with plenty of sun to boot. And that concludes the reading of the Neepawa Banner and Press for Friday. I hope you enjoyed.